Oh, shit. Here we go again.
The whole reason anybody's tuning in, it's really for one thing. It's what everybody's been waiting on. We're waiting to hear from our official Kentucky fan, the voice of the Kentucky Wildcats for Cozy and Murph. John Calipari parts ways, moving on from Big Blue Nation down to Arkansas. It's going to go from blue to red. Murph, it's time to shed your spiel, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph. And I don't know why this fucking camera won't stop focusing on whatever the hell else is going on in this. I don't know. It's pissing me off. It looks like the light keeps flashing. I'm done worrying about it. We're going to talk all kinds of shit today. We had the national championship yesterday, which was the finishing of a story that was written at the beginning of the season. We all knew Uconn was good. They got the job done. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Caitlin Clark. We'll talk about the undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks and their season. We'll probably delve more into, why are people hating on Caitlin Clark? That's a good question to ask. Is she hateable? Is she the heel that the WNBA so desperately needs? Speaking of heels, The Rock was a heel this weekend.
Right. WrestleMania.
For WrestleMania. Talk about that. That was actually incredible. I've watched a lot of the highlights on
I've only heard. I haven't watched anything about it. I heard it was just a really the best live event that they've ever had.
It was like Avengers. It was like Avengers Endgame, but for WrestleMania stands.
Wrestlers.
It's like everybody came in to help Cody Rhodes finish the story. It was kind of cool. It was like a touching tribute to WWE and its history. So if you grew up on WWE, definitely go check out those highlights. It was something that I found really, really cool. But the biggest thing that we will discuss today, and it'll probably be after we talk the national championships, John Calipari. Old Jim Calipari is headed out of town to Arkansas, of all places, Arkansas.
Thank you for your service.
That later, though, because I know Cody Murphy has been. He called me at 11:30 at night when it happened, and he said, "Did you see what happened?" But we'll get there. Let's not jump ahead. First off, national championship game, UConn, Dan Hurley, possibly your next head coach. And
maybe.
the UConn
Probably
Huskies, probably not. You're probably getting like Scott Drew or somebody like that.
But we'll see.
Clean Kong takes down the freaking Zach Edey, and what a game! It was close for the typical UConn standards, and then of course UConn blows away.
Yeah, they just took control in the second half, and Purdue was only down 6 at halftime, but in the second half, UConn just took control. They did what they do. They suffocated them. The whole game plan was, if you listen to what Hurley said in the post game, was we're going to let Zach Edey get his, but we have to hold everybody else under 20 points. If we can do that, then we'll win this game easily. And that's exactly what they did. But we all saw it coming. It was kind of, it was a kind of a, not a surprise at all. We all knew that UConn was going to play this way and end up winning the national championship back-to-back years. and potential dynasty. You know, I mean, it's just like the Chiefs in the NFL. What if they go three-peat? You know,
Yeah.
I wonder how long it's been since there's been a three-peat in the NCAA. So, shout out to UConn. They played their game. They played within themselves. They did what they had to do. They took care of business, and Purdue just couldn't keep up with them. You know.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Zach Edey got exposed because he finally got a matchup where, you know, Klingen was a perfect matchup. Like we said in previous episodes, that was a perfect matchup for him because they're basically the same size. Yes, Edey probably had a few more pounds on him, but he has no post game. It's all get to your right hand, get to my right hand, post hook. That's it. Yeah. Push, shove people out of the way, get the offensive rebound. Yeah. Like if he had any skill at all, then it would have been a different story. But, and I mean, honestly, he played a pretty decent game. He had 20 plus points, 10 boards, but it just wasn't enough. You know, he couldn't replicate what he did or duplicate what he did against Tennessee, where he had 40 and 15 or whatever it was, you know. Yeah. So UConn was just a better team.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree that Edey, let's say this.
He's just big, bro. He's just big.
He went out on his shield. He scored 37. He had 10 boards, but I think what it really was is that the rest of Purdue wasn't national championship good. It was Edey was bigger than everybody else along the way. They finally met Clean Kong and the Natty.
Clean Kong.
And that's his match. And then the rest of UConn basically took over, bro.
Well, it wasn't just Klingen. It was the other kid, Johnson.
Newton. Oh, Newton went off too.
Johnson was the other kid that guarded Edey.
Oh, yeah.
He went out early in the first half because he got 2 quick fouls called on him.
Yeah.
But he was also a factor. He was part of, you know, it was like a dual cover with him, and Klingen and Johnson was kind of, you know, split time against Edey. But it kind of, you know, as you were talking about it, it kind of mirrors the way that the women's championship went. Yep. Because Caitlin Clark, you know, best player in the nation, but the rest of her team is not at that level like like South Carolina was or is, you know. So it's kind of like Edey, you know, he did everything he could, but the rest of his team just couldn't keep up with, you know, the level of play that UConn is at.
37 and 10 from Edey. I mean, you can put this in, like we said last episode, this is one of those guys to where you are now the face of Purdue for as long. Yeah, I mean, even if he's not playing in the NBA for,
he won't play in the NBA. I'm sorry, but he won't. Nope. He's not mobile enough. He's not, you know, I mean, he's just not.
He's not a runner.
It doesn't translate to today's game. You know, you got to be light-footed, especially as a big man. I mean, look at what Wemby's doing. He's 7 foot, you know, he's 7'4", 5", whatever, and he's draining threes and averaging 3 blocks a game, you know, which is crazy.
Yeah. Has Edey ever shot a 3-point shot?
I don't know, but I know he airballed a fucking free throw, which is like,
bro.
It's like, what the fuck, man? I guess he was tired.
Let's do this. Hats off to Purdue. Hell of a run. From everything that the people have shit talked about Purdue in the last couple of years, they make it all the way to the national championship. But the big hats off is obviously to Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies. It was 2 straight years in the tournament, 2 straight tournament championships, and 12-0 against the spread. Not only do good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah, good teams win, great teams cover. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is incredible.
100%.
Bro.
And what really is kind of ironic, or whatever you want to say, is that clip that's been going around of Dan Hurley in 2020, where he's like, you better get us now because it's coming. And he was prophetic in that because he was 100% correct. Like, he knew exactly what he had coming in, and he knew exactly what he was going to do. And it's awesome to kind of see all that play out over a 4-year span.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, he's got to be the number one coach in the NCAA right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Without a
obviously.
doubt. Which, playing into the Calipari thing, which we'll get into, but after that national championship win, you put UConn in this 2-year span as probably the greatest 2-year span besides that Florida team, maybe.
No, I think this one's better. I think UConn's is better.
Right. So if you're Coach Hurley's agent right now, you are fucking doing backflips because you know Kentucky's calling, and you know if Kentucky's calling, that means you gotta pay the son of a bitch, and you're gonna have to pay him like an NBA coach.
Yeah, I mean he can do whatever he wants. He can stay at UConn and demand more money. He can go to UK, and UK is going to have to offer him $10+ million a year. I don't think 10 million is enough to honestly for him to leave. I think it's got to be more than that, and it's probably not just money. It's assurances. I need to know that these things are going to be in place for my entire tenure. Just like, Calipari got the lifetime contract. There's certain stipulations that have to come with that type of move, especially if you're going to go from a back-to-back champion to a team that hasn't made it past the first round of the tournament in 4 years or 5 years or whatever it is.
Especially the Kentucky team being probably a brand new build.
And especially if you're going to have to deal with the fan base, because I'll be the first to admit we have one of the most toxic fan bases in the fucking world. I mean, straight up, bar none. Like, that's something that we have to work on ourselves. And I've been part of the problem, and not to get too far ahead. I know we're still talking about, the national championship game, but, Calipari leaving kind of has made myself look in the mirror and being like, what kind of type of fan am I? You know? So we'll get to that later, but Dan Hurley, number one sought after coach in the nation. Obviously he can do like I said, he can do whatever he wants. He can stay at UConn. He can go to UK. He can go anywhere. Anybody would hire him at this point.
He'd go to the NBA if he wanted to, but nobody wants to go to the NBA anymore. But hats off, UConn. Great run, great championship, great team. Awesome. And the Sun being 43-0 in games that he's in. That's pretty impressive.
I've seen that stat, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But Caitlin Clark, let's talk that too. Why would I bring up Caitlin Clark when the South Carolina Gamecocks completed an undefeated season? Undefeated national championship.
They've lost 3 games in 3 years.
3. They get revenge on Caitlin Clark in Iowa because Iowa knocked them out last year, and they do so in the national championship. Which, obviously, we're giving hats off a lot today, but hats off Caitlin Clark. 30 points. She went out on her shield as well, and she played her ass off. You said it earlier. She
did everything she could do. I do have a little bit of a criticism about her game. I feel like when she doesn't have the ball in her hands on the offensive side, she just stands there, like she's not moving around. She's not like and that might just be part of, the offensive system that, they run. But a lot of the times she would pass the ball and she would just stand there. And maybe South Carolina did a good job of kind of neutralizing her and keeping her away from the ball and denying the ball. But it seemed like if she wasn't shooting a 3 or if she wasn't driving and creating, passing lanes, then she was kind of just standing around on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And that's not something that she's going to be able to do at the next level for 100%. Like, she's going to have to get better at that. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, she did everything she could do. She scored 30+ points. She has the most points in women's NCAA tournament history, has the most points in college basketball history.
Yeah.
So, and even what is even more telling is that Don Staley, the head coach of South Carolina, even gave her like a massive shout out at the end after they presented the trophy and everything. It was telling her that she is one of the GOATs, no matter what anybody says. And
Yeah.
so when you have such high praise from the opposing head coach, I mean that has to say something about your status in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much the gist of it. Caitlin Clark. Now, my questions leading and moving forward would be, how's she going to take on the WNBA? Because I've seen a lot of takes saying about how the players already don't like her, how she plays.
Yeah.
Who was
All
it?
the
Taurasi?
yeah, Deanna Taurasi, she was talking massive shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, it's like when LeBron came into the league, everybody, was ready to was licking their chops, ready to get after the rookie and humble him, and Caitlin Clark's gonna run into the same thing. She's gonna run into a buzzsaw where every night in and night out, every team is gonna be gunning for her to make sure she has the worst game of her life, and they're gonna try to break her, and that's just part of the rookie struggle. You go to that next level. It's just like being a freshman, if you're this highly touted freshman, and not to toot my own horn too much, but like whenever I was a freshman football player, everybody I had a target on my back because everybody had hyped me up so much. It was like Cody Murphy's going to be, the best running back that we've ever seen, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, I had a lot to prove, I had a lot of hype coming in, and I had to withstand a lot of not just like the physical stuff, people, trying to knock me out of the game, but also the mental stuff, the emotional stuff. You have to be able to weather that storm and know at the end of the day that you are a great player, no matter, what anybody says or what anybody does. And so it is kind of a jealousy thing, I feel like, for some of these WNBA players that have the veterans that have been in the league for multiple years. And it's just, she's going to have to prove herself at the next level. It's just part of the process, I guess.
Yeah. Well, with that said, Caitlin Clark, I do hope you're the best. I kind of honestly hope that you're the heel that brings more viewers to the WNBA because it is such a tough thing to like watch. I'm pulling for you. And South Carolina, well, obviously we're giving more hats off South Carolina. March is the most incredible time of the year. And this year proved yet again, I mean, to be incredible. We saw upsets and drama and some of the biggest sports going off.
I'm happy for South Carolina. They were the better team. They were the best team in the league all year. And, Iowa did give them a very tough fight. It was a very tough game all the way to the last 3 minutes of the game. And shout out Camila Cordoza, coming from Brazil, didn't even speak English. She lived with her AAU coach for a while. She went to another school. I can't remember what school she went to, but then she ended up transferring to South Carolina and then now has won 2 championships. Well, like I said, they've lost 3 games in 3 years. That's an incredible feat for any team. I don't care what sport it is. And so I do feel like they will be a force to be reckoned with. They're like the new UConn almost, in women's basketball.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I think UConn will still be there, but this women's basketball on all levels is heading in a direction that we've never seen before. Which, granted, it's not my flavor, but
listen, they not that this means anything, but as a fan, they've gained a lot of respect from me this year. Moving forward, I will pay more attention to the women's side of the sport too.
Yeah,
that wasn't always the case, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but girls can play too. And they always have. But it just, I guess it takes a generational type talent like Caitlin Clark and all these great players, Paige Beckers, you got Angel Reese, you got Carmela Cardoza, all these, Juju Watkins, all these generational type talent. And now it's like finally, we've pulled the wool back from our eyes, and we can appreciate, the product.
We got love for you, women's sports, women's basketball. We're cheering for you. Always been a women's I like watching the softball when the
Yeah,
World Series starts.
softball's
That
fun.
shit is fire, bro. But definitely going to get into more of that. Now, I did just see breaking news come across my timeline that I should share. It's not going to be breaking when you guys hear this, but you guys probably already know. Giannis Antetokounmpo has ruptured his Achilles.
Oh no,
Oh no,
that's
bro.
not good.
That's not good. I seen it. I figured I'd break it, get that to you as soon as you could. But let's transition off national championship. The whole reason anybody's tuning in, it's really for one thing. It's what everybody's been waiting on. We're waiting to hear from our official Kentucky fan, the voice of the Kentucky Wildcats for Cozy and Murph. John Calipari parts ways. Is moving on from Big Blue Nation down to Arkansas. It's going to go from blue to red. Murph, it's time to shed your spiel, bro.
Well, it's been a long time coming, and like I said, I've said it the whole year. I even said it going into last year. If we did not make the Elite Eight or the Final Four, this is a make or break season.
Yeah.
And I think it's been bared out in the media. The fans have spoken their piece. And, the AD is finally, coming to his senses and not bowing down to whatever Calipari wants. And so what the rumor was is that Calipari was using Arkansas kind of as a bargaining chip, because he had this deal on the table. And that's why it took so long for it to be official.
Yeah.
It's because he had this, kind of like a bargaining chip, like, hey, Arkansas is offering me this. So he goes back to Mitch Barnhart, which is the AD, and he's like, can you counter this? Can we, work something out? And Mitch said, no, like, we're not doing that. And so, Calipari's on his way out, and it's bittersweet. And a lot of people, it has divided the fan base more than I can ever remember us being divided as, UK fans. Not just UK fans, but UK basketball fans in particular. But it was necessary. It's what had to happen. The situation, it had become toxic. He had Calipari had lost the trust of the fans, lost the trust of the media, lost the trust of the AD, and it was just, it's just like any other type of relationship that it started off the first 10 years was great. I wouldn't trade that shit for anything. National championship, 4 Final Fours, multiple NBA, players sent to the NBA. And, we were set riding high for so long, for a decade, and, the mighty, even the mighty must fall at some point. And the past, 5 years did not meet the standard for whatever reason. You can blame it on the players. You can blame it on the coach. You can blame it on this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, the guy at the head of the organization, the head coach, takes the fall, period. He is the one constant. Players come and go, but the coach is the one common denominator. Yeah. And Calipari was just not getting it done. And I hate to, I will give him all the flowers. He is a Hall of Fame coach. He is a once-in-a-lifetime generational type personality on and off the court. He is a great man. He does great things for people. He's not just a great basketball coach. He's a humanitarian.
Yeah.
But like I said in the post, there's a standard at Kentucky that has to be met, and it was not being met. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time for us to move on. And to be honest with you, I wish, I hope he does well, because I just hope he doesn't do too well against Kentucky. But I know, and even if he does, I'll tip my hat and say, look, you Hall of Fame coach, you're doing a great job at Arkansas, but Kentucky will still be there. We have, we have endured through the years. We've had up years, we've had down years, but at the end of the day, Kentucky will draw talent. Kentucky will rebuild. Kentucky, we will be there. Big Blue Nation, at the end of the day, we will be there no matter what. Even if we go the next 2 to 3 years and, don't even make the tournament or whatever, we're going to figure something out. We have the money, we have the resources, we have the boosters, we have all that shit. So I'm not expecting too much out of this next, 5 years, but it just depends on who we hire.
Yeah.
If we can make a good hire and start to actually build a program and build and develop players, I will be so happy. Even if we don't do so great in March, I mean, what would be the difference? We,
Yeah.
you know,
Honestly.
we, so, like I said, I think what happened is best for everybody involved. It's best for Calipari. It's best for the school. It's best for the fans. Just a fresh start and just let's move forward and find something positive. Because
Yeah.
for so long it had been all negativity, or it was so up and down. Like we win, everybody's like, yeah, Calipari's the man, and we lose, it's like, get him out of here. We need somebody else. So just it is what it is.
I don't know if you saw the video that Calipari posted on Twitter about, kind of just addressing Big Blue Nation. And I think he said it best. I think Kentucky and Big Blue Nation needed a new voice. And he knew that it was time for somebody else's voice to be heard there. He did his time. He did the best he could. And I'm obviously an outsider, and I'm not a diehard Kentucky guy. I root for Kentucky because all my people do. But as a outsider watching Kentucky, and I started like 2012 when I went down to college, like when things were popping with UK. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fresh off a national championship, and there was all the allegations, like people saying that Calipari is dirty. He'll lead Kentucky into, the worst of things. He's going to do things wrong. Through the ups and downs of what Calipari has, he did it with class. He led you guys with class. He led you guys as a leader. He brought in the best that he could. And I think for Kentucky fans, like you said, take a step back, and as you have, appreciate what you had. You know what I'm saying? For what it's worth, Calipari gave y'all a championship, Final Fours, great memories, and another bit from KSR that just today was listening on the radio. Matt Jones said he was going to do 2 minutes on some of the best moments from the Calipari era, and he went on for 10 minutes listing off year by year by year highlights and moments and celebrations all the way up until, even this year with this last year with Reeves going off for 37 points or whatever, and you guys' comeback win, who was against Auburn.
Yeah.
It's like so many things that I myself as a Ohio State fan would yearn for.
Yeah, and I'm not, that part of it is not lost on me. I grew up, my very first memories I can remember Tubby Smith. I was at the end of Tubby Smith though.
Yeah.
That's whenever I really started paying attention to Kentucky basketball.
Yeah.
And then we had Billy Gillespie, which that was a total disaster,
Yeah.
And then we had Calipari. And so for most of my adult life, actually all of my adult life, Calipari was the coach at Kentucky. And so he has given me so many memories, so many memories, all of the things that Matt Jones listed on that segment that he did on the Calipari era. I can remember exactly where I was at. I can remember exactly, the moment and the games and stuff. And so I will never forget that. And I appreciate Cal for doing that. But it's just like I said, though, like there's been plenty of women that I've been with that I had great times with, and I will always remember them for that. But, at the end of the day, it was time for us to go our separate ways. At the end of the day, this is irreconcilable. We cannot make this up. Like we're at the point of no return. It's time to break it off and just go our separate ways and have a fresh start and really do some soul searching, honestly. That's what we have to do as a program. Everybody involved. Fans, the school, the AD, the media, everybody. We have to do some soul searching and figure out what the fuck do we actually want moving forward.
Yeah.
I want to be back where it's like Kentucky is a top 5 team every year, which, you know, we had been, but that was solely based on talent. That wasn't based on results. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were a preseason top 5 team for so long, but then, you know, for the last 5 years, we kind of just fell off. And it was like we had all these up and down times, and I just want a little bit of consistency. I said, I want to get to know players. I want guys to come and be a part of the program. I don't want to be just a pit stop for the NBA. I want guys that are 2 and 3 year players, 4-year players in some instances. And I want to get back to the traditional basketball, college basketball, you know, like the atmosphere. Like you come to Kentucky, you know you're going to be here for at least 2 years or more. Period. That's it. Like I'm tired of yeah, sure, we can every now and then we can have a one and done guy, you know, but I would rather have 2 and 3 star guys that are going to stay for longer than have 4 or 5 star guys that we had for 1 year, you know?
Yeah.
And so I hope the next coach that comes in, he kind of has that same philosophy and is able to work through the transfer portal and through the NIL because, you know, we have, I won't say unlimited money, but we have an exorbitant amount of money and resources and things that just make Lexington attractive for young basketball players.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's been a long time coming for me. I've said we need to get rid of Calipari, and I hate that it had to happen this way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it's better for everybody.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If you can't have Dan Hurley, because we'll just rule him out for this, give me 3 coaches that you would be. Give me your top 3 coaches you would take right now.
Okay, I think Billy Donovan, number 1.
Yeah.
He's not in a good situation in Chicago right now. I mean, Chicago sucks in the NBA.
Yep.
They have for a long time.
Yeah.
He's obviously a proven, you know, championship level coach. He's got a great record, and not only regular season but also in the tournament. Back-to-back championship winner. Nate Oates, which I don't know how realistic that really is, you know. But it would be cool if we could get Nate Oates to come to Kentucky and build something there. And then, I mean, obviously there's like Mark Few from Gonzaga. I would love to have him, but he's been at Gonzaga for so long. He's probably, you know, dead set on finishing his career there. So I don't think that's really a realistic option. Shaka Smart from Marquette. I like him. I think he's a very intelligent, you know, high basketball IQ guy. He's had, you know, multiple high profile jobs.
Yeah.
Scott Drew. I mean, everybody says that they don't want Scott Drew, but I'm like, why not though? I mean, he's coached Baylor. He has brought Baylor from basically insignificance to being one of the top 10 teams year in and year out. And they're like, oh, well, he doesn't bring in talent. Yes, he does. He has a top 5 recruiting class right now. Yeah. So I'm just like, it's one of those things where Twitter is so toxic that most of the people on there, they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah. You know, and they don't know ball. They just want to have all these inflammatory comments and get people in an uproar because it's fun to do that, which I understand. You know, I've been an internet troll for many, many years. So I understand like the you know, the appeal of it. But at the end of the day, let's be realistic. Scott Drew is a very good basketball coach. And that's what I want. I want a basketball coach. I don't want a recruiter. I want somebody who knows how to develop talent and knows the X's and O's and is going to implement good fundamental basketball on both ends of the court.
Do you think Kentucky, the backers, and Barnhart have it in them to possibly pull a guy like Jay Wright out of the booth?
No, I think Jay Wright's done. I think he has his cozy, analyst or commentator job, in the media. He's probably he doesn't want the pressure of. I mean, because he coached at Villanova and he did very well
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But Villanova is not the same as Kentucky. Kentucky
Yeah.
is a totally different beast. You're going to be under a microscope 100% of the time. Every move you make is going to be overanalyzed, over criticized, and it's just something you have to deal with.
Yeah.
We could offer him $10 billion, and I don't think he's gonna. I think he's done with coaching. I think he just wants to be a media person.
Okay, the last option that I can think of. Would you entertain the idea of Rick Pitino coming back?
I would entertain it. Yeah. I think it's worth a look.
Yeah.
He's still a good basketball coach. I mean, look at what he did at Iona. Look at what he did at St. Joseph's. I mean, he still is a good basketball coach. We just, we have to make sure that he's going to do everything above board and not have all these scandals, which he's getting later on in life. So I feel like maybe all that shit's past him. And now that the NIL and everything is in place, the transfer portal, he doesn't really have to do all this shady stuff to try to draw in talent, especially at Kentucky. It's one thing. It's one thing to do that at Louisville, but you don't have to do that at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now you can just pay players to come.
Pretty much, it's pay to play anymore.
So I mean, I wouldn't be mad, honestly, if we hired Rick Pitino and get back.
Yeah. I think this is exciting times for UK. You guys are going to get a fresh restart.
And that's what I don't understand is like all these people, mainly the Cal nutsuckers out here that are like, oh, you guys, we pushed out a Hall of Fame once in a lifetime type coach. Yeah, we did because he was underperforming. Period. Like there's no argument for that. He did not meet the standard, and so he has to go. Period. That's it. So yeah, I mean the future is a little bit unknown, and yes, that could be scary, but you can also look at it as an exciting time, a new era, a fresh beginning. It's like stop worrying about what's going to happen without Cal and start worrying about what's going to happen when we get a new coach and we get all these, all these recruits to come back and all these guys in the transfer portal. I mean,
I seen somebody make a comparison on Twitter and said, Big Blue Nation is the New York Yankees of college basketball. Coach Calipari is Joe Torre, and Joe Torre did his thing. He did what he had to do, but there come a time when it's past his time, it's past his prime, and you got to move on. And you guys got to go out and find your Aaron Boone and bring in a fresh new face and fresh new voice and figure out what's going to work and start your rebuild.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have to do it eventually. He's 65. Realistically, he has another, 5 years, 6 years, maybe. I mean, a lot of guys don't coach until their 70s. And Calipari doesn't strike me as the type that wants to put up with all the BS that late into his life. He probably just wants to ride off into the sunset and go watch his NBA players, all the guys that he coached in college, and go watch them play it,
Yeah.
So it's like, realistically, would you rather cut it off now and be able to rebuild sooner, or wait another 5 years and when we might not even win anything, I just think it's better to do it sooner than later. It's better. It's just like whenever you have an athlete in like a professional sport, and it's like, it's better to retire sooner and not tarnish your legacy rather than to hold on for another 5 years and try to get back to the point to the point where you were, whenever you're obviously your skills are declining, you're not keeping up with the game. It's like, just cut it off, let it go. Move on. Yeah.
That's Miller. Sometimes you just gotta let it go, bro. But I'm excited for UK. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for Calipari. I'm excited to watch him and see what he does at Arkansas. I think he'll do well at Arkansas. I think there will be big-time recruits that follow him there. I think he's going to do exactly that. He's going to have everything he needs at Arkansas.
I mean, there's no doubt that he will get the talent. I mean, there's no doubt that he will get talent. the coaching's just not going to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Which I don't think Arkansas cares that much about it.
No.
This is, to them, is the biggest ticket seller.
They've been desperate to be relevant in something for so long.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe this is their chance to finally, matter, I guess.
Hey, hats off to Arkansas. But, ladies and gentlemen, that was what we all wanted to hear. We all wanted to hear and get the live update from Cody Murphy. I made him hold off. We were going to do it yesterday, but I worked late. National championship. So we're rattling it off now. But I think this gave him some more time to figure out where his feelings were, get his head on straight, came correct, came precise, and you shared a good peace of mind today, Bubba.
Well, I mean, I'm a diehard. I bleed blue. BBN till the death of me. So it's something like I've said multiple times. It shouldn't matter as much, but it's just the way I was raised, man. It's in my blood. I come from generations of UK fans, so of course I'm going to have a strong opinion on it.
I want to see who you guys go after. I seen something about an initial offer for Hurley, but I don't have it.
I would give my left nut. Actually, I would give both nuts for Dan Hurley to come to Kentucky because, I would be okay only having 2 kids, but that's not going to happen. I don't think there's an amount of money that we can throw at Dan Hurley.
There's a video right now on Twitter that says, Cal speaking. He says, Arkansas has offered me a contract. What's your counter offer? And Mitch Morhart picks up the phone and farts in it and hangs it up. Lord. Oh, dude. Billy Donovan just called Kentucky from the locker room after seeing this. And it's...
Yeah. Throwing it off the backboard and then, totally botching the dunk. Yeah. Chicago is a mess right now, dude.
Dude.
I don't know why Donovan would want to stay, especially if he can make $8 to $9 to $10 million coaching college basketball. I would love Billy Donovan. There's plenty of guys out there. People act like there's nobody out there. There's plenty of good coaches out there.
Yeah, and Kentucky is the bluest of blue. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying, man. It's
this is the New York Yankees.
This is the marquee job. This is the Alabama football. This is, like you said, the New York Yankees, the LA Lakers, the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a lot of these coaches. Picture that just scrolled on to my Twitter here says, it's from John Fanta. I don't know if you know who John Fanta is, but he was on Part of My Take on Monday. He said, it's a picture of Dan Hurley and Zach Edey, and Dan Hurley's talking to him and says, what do you think was said here? Wrong answers early. Or wrong answers only. In a comment says, oh, you like an egg roll, big China man?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's fucked up.
I saw that. That's very...
Oh, my God. That's
very racist, but very funny.
Very racist. I'm sorry. We're a racist podcast, just so everybody knows.
Yes, we're very racist and very sexist and very homophobic.
Pull the Modern Warfare 2 lobby clips now.
No, delete them because we'll be immediately canceled.
Immediately canceled, and I will be in jail for some of the things that I've said. It's not the person that I am anymore, ladies and gentlemen. But I feel like that is everything that I wanted to discuss basketball-wise. There's no football news. Baseball news, the Mets beat the Reds 2 out of 3 games. So Mets are relevant somehow?
No, we still suck, but it's very early in the season. It's very hard to know. But I don't see us making the playoffs this year. I think the Reds will make the playoffs before the Mets will.
Reds are a good team. We just have 8 of our players on the injured list, which is miserable to watch. But Ellie's getting hot. He went yesterday. He had 4 RBIs, an out of the park home run, an inside the park home run, and a stolen base in the same game.
See, I wish New York Mets had something like that. We don't have any exciting young players like that.
It's fun time. Cincinnati's been selling out. I hear the fireworks going off all the time for home runs. It's pretty cool. And I get to drive by the stadium every day pretty much. So I'm in there. I'm gonna try and I need to start trying to like bring my fucking microphone with me and just plug it up to my phone or
What you
something.
need to do is figure out a weekend where the Mets play in Cincinnati, and we need to go and give a little. We'll give a little Cozy and Murph video blog. We can do the 9 and 9 challenge.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that, guys, it is 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and 9 innings, which I feel like could be done. And we talked about this in text, but immediately after leaving the ballpark, I'm throwing it up.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you make it through the 9 innings and
Out
you
the gate.
are outside of the ballpark, I feel like it's safe for you to,
You win.
purge if you have to.
It's like, what do I win? Pride. That's enough. That's enough.
That's all. And but like I said, I feel like the 9 beers would be easy. The hard part would be the hot dogs, especially if you have to eat the bun as well, because that's just so much,
Take
So
the bun, put it in the beer. Just
yeah, like Joey Chestnut.
oh my god. Well, Bub, you got any life updates or anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. No, I mean, just doing my thing.
Trying to think of what else I had to talk about. I don't think we had anything else. It's been college basketball, and that's about the gist of it right now.
Now it's over. I do want to say, if you're a football fan, if you're a football junkie like me and JD, check out the UFL. It's actually pretty fun to watch. I was kind of skeptical at first because I didn't, I don't know. I just didn't know anybody, none of the players playing, so I really didn't have any vested interest in it. But it's actually pretty fun to watch. I mean, the rules are a little bit different than NFL and college. And so it's kind of a different brand of football. And my question is, me and my mom were talking about this because my mom was because I had it on the TV and they came over to see my daughter and hang out. And she was like, she's like, I don't recognize any of these teams. And I was like, yeah, it's the UFL. It's not the NFL or college. And she was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, it's basically like minor league football, but they're not affiliated with the NFL. And I was like, I don't understand why the NFL doesn't buy the UFL and use it as like literally like a farm system for player development, to experiment with rules, and all these other things.
Your roster. You can just sign somebody, send them to your UFL team, and let them get a training rep game,
right? Like the G League, or like the minor league system in the MLB. That would make so much sense, but the NFL is just a different beast. They're so money hungry that they don't fuck with anybody else. They don't really care. To me, they're all about profit. They don't really care about like developing talent. They'd rather just. Plus, football is a more physical sport, so you might have a promising prospect that plays in the UFL, tears his ACL, and then his career's derailed from there.
Yeah.
So I get both sides, but I think it would be beneficial for them to at least look into acquiring the UFL.
Yeah, especially like have an extra quarterback out there, let him get his throwing reps in, shit like that,
or use it as like a rehab type thing. Yep. Like if you get injured, like
play a quarter.
Yeah, go out, play a couple series. Get your feet back underneath you, and then we'll see you in August or September.
I'm sure they'd have to change it up to like put a white cover jersey on the rehabbing quarterback and no hits and shit like that. I would imagine it'd be something like that.
But also, I mean, if you're a fringe guy, if you're a practice squad guy, and you go and you show out in the spring in UFL, who's to say you don't get a contract, to be on a 53-man roster or something?
Yeah. That'd be a really good investment for.
But the thing is, if people don't watch it, it will never happen. It'll just get canceled like the XFL did. It'll just get, So people need to, at least if you like football, just tune in every now and then. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to watch every game or anything, but it's on Fox on Sunday and Saturday. So if you don't have anything else to watch, and now that college basketball's over, you don't want to watch baseball, tune into some UFL.
Tune into that. Tune into WWE. Tune into. Just watch baseball. Shut up. Watch UFC. There's a big UFC card coming up.
UFC 300.
UFC 300. Massive card. Cody was telling me. I don't follow UFC like that, but he was saying it's like one of the greatest cards of all time.
Oh, it will be for sure. There's multiple. There's 2 championship fights, and then there's probably 4 or 5 former champions that are fighting on that night as well. Prelims, early prelims, and then main card as well. So,
wow.
If you got $80 or whatever, you know, you can get a couple people together and chip in, buy it, watch it. It'll be a fun night. You know, get some pizza, some wings, some beer, do your thing. Be fun to watch.
Hell yeah. Everybody tune in to UFC 300. Go watch all of your highlights. Check out all of our clips on all social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook group, Twitter. Doesn't fucking matter. You know where to find us and you know how to find us. Cozy and Murph. It is what it is. Share us with your friends. Share us with your family. Share us with your grandma. Tell your grandma we want some cookies and milk because we are fat little boys and we like sweets. We love you. Peace.
Peace.